A drunken sailor early in the morning. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises early in the morning.
Opening in 1967, Pirates of the Caribbean brought to life the childhood dreams of daring pirates, billowing ship sails, the salty splash of ocean waves, and the shimmer of hidden treasure. This attraction became a reality just 1 year after Walt Disney's passing, capturing his lifelong fascination with high seas adventures. Disney's first ever live-action film was Treasure Island, released in 1950, which set a precedent of what the public thinks a voice of a pirate is. Enter Mark Davis, the veritable gag god of Disney himself, who conceptualized the various characters and scenarios of the ride. But like all the great rides at Disney, it would seem, this was put on hold for Walt's continuous passion of new ideas, being the 1964-1965 World's Fair, which saw revolutionary new techniques into audio animatronics, such as Mr. Lincoln's Small World and more, and what they learned there was combined to create what I believe is the best attraction Disney has ever made.
I'm going to get on a boat here, ride through the lagoon, and then as they get around here, we're going to take them down a waterfall and take them back into the past, into the days of the pirates, you know, where the whole Caribbean area was full of pirates and they're always sacking towns and things. Oh, you want to see some?
Love to.
Right over here, we'll meet them. Fruit and everything. As you get down here and look through that little ring, you get the view that the audience gets.
Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises early in the morning. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor. Shave his belly with a rusty razor early in the morning. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises. Way, hey, and up she rises early in the morning.
That is absolutely fantastic.
Well, that's only part of it. A big climatic scene.
But how could you top it?
Well, we set the place on fire. And we have our audience trapped down in this flaming city.
And how can they get out then?
Well, now you got into this mess by going down a waterfall. Now, how would you suppose we get them out of there?
By going up the waterfall?
That's right. Anything's possible in Disneyland.
Set design, lighting, animations, characters, the entire plot being a story told to the rider as we begin in the bayou swamp of Nolans. I just want to discuss how absolutely fantastic and utterly haunting the voice of the Jolly Roger Skull is. Floating above us, its eerie voice echoing and rebounding through the foggy darkness. The voice of Xavier X Atencio, a Disney animator, composer, and Imagineer, and co-writer of Grim Grinning Ghosts and the Pirates theme. Now, I'm sure that all of the Disney fanatics that have made it this far into the video are very familiar to the why the waterfall is there, but if you're not, it's because of the Disney berm and the train track loop. I'd say 95% of the ride happens underground, in a dark, dank, water and pirate-filled basement. It's Imagineer Claude Coates who we have to primarily thank for the environments of Pirates, along with Mark Davis for the designs. But who do we have to thank for the over 75 animatronics that would function day in and day out? That would be Bob Gurr and his team, which formulated a veritable grab bag of universal pieces that Disney would go on to use in anything from a pirate to a president to a goat. Not to mention Imagineer Alice Davis, wife of Mark Davis, who decided and created what all of the pirates wore. And of course, Yale Gracie, who in the way of the alchemists of old turned something simple and mundane like a curtain and some lights into a new magical fiery effect. But don't worry, because I'll talk about him a lot later. And it is from Lafitte's Landing, named after French pirate and privateer Jean Lafitte, whom Walt Disney wanted to feature in the original Pirates exhibit when it was going to be, get this, a glorified wax museum of various pirates that you could just kind of walk through and look at the exhibits of. We are then cast out off into our boats into the night, where a dark, quiet, and ghostly ambiance overtakes us as the boat sloshes quietly in the bromine-filled water, and it is there that our imaginations take over. What lurks in the darkness of those swamps just along the coast? What figures are out there in the dark of the trees? What history could have happened here that we are unknowingly entering into? And then it happens. A disembodied skull forms out of the pitch abyssal black, casting its ominous warning, and we, the riders, are but mere shadows drawn down into a hellish, ghostly realm of pirates and plunder where chaos reigns over a besieged coastal city. Unlike many modern rides, we aren't a part of it. We are not participants. We are merely specters, unseen by the marauding pirates and the defiant soldiers and the terrified townsfolk. Oh, look, a crab! Like I said, it is without a doubt my absolute favorite ride that I went on at both Disneyland and its sister park, Disney's California Adventure theme park. I found myself comparing this ride to all of the more modern rides and every other ride that we went on, in particular, Rise of the Resistance, my old friend Rotor. And after going on Pirates, I realized then that I didn't enjoy Rise as much as I had expected to. Like I went on and on about earlier, it is a technological marvel, yes. It's a fascinating entrance to a universe which I have been obsessed with since I was a kid. But it somehow did not capture me with the same gravitas as this nearly 60-year-old attraction did. And I think it's because of the fact that we don't partake in the story that I loved it. Pirates felt like I was literally experiencing what happens in the realm of the imagination when listening to someone tell a story. I don't need to be a Resistance member hero who valiantly escapes the forgotten stooge brother Kylo Ren. And maybe I'm an outlier, but I just don't care for that kind of self-insertion that modern rides take with the guests. Because then, that allows people to start asking stupid questions. Like, well, on Rise of the Resistance, am I really part of a massive group of people that are entering this rebel base? Is this group actually made up of men, women, and children? Or is it more in-universe than that? It becomes the MMORPG problem, where you're going through a storyline that seems utterly unique to yourself, but if you look to your left or your right, you'll see a line of other players all having the same cutscene dialogue with the NPC that you're interacting with. And even though the boats have 3 to 4 rows of seating available, it's still such a visceral experience. Everything is situated like 2 to 5 feet above you as a rider that you never really notice anybody who are sitting around you. Unless, of course, they're jerks and they're being loud and obnoxious or something. And I wish that we could get closer to those figures on the ride. And I think the nearest that you probably get is the 3 band members and Jack Sparrow. Which is another comparison I found myself making to Rise of the Resistance, is the animatronics. With Rise of the Resistance, they attempted to recreate John Boyega's likeness to varying degrees of success. And it honestly happens so quickly, and you can't really see him very well, and you got a 50-50 chance on if you do see him, that it doesn't, like, you know, you can't really see. But I still felt like I was close enough to tell that that did not look like John Boyega. And that same issue is there with the Johnny Depp Jack Sparrow animatronic. But with all the other pirates, they did something I doubt Disney will ever do again, and that is to make the human beings caricatures. Even the dog is a caricature. Because these pirates, they don't look like any person I've ever met in my life, and if they did, I'd think I would off myself, because what a horrific experience to witness that would be. That's what I truly loved about Pirates of the Caribbean and Haunted Mansion, was just how grandly stylized everything is. Yes, it is realistic, but it's just a bit far enough into the realm of being hyper-real exaggeration that conducts itself so well into a beautiful experience that I came out loving. And yeah, of course, there's a couple of controversial changes, I guess, to the ride, namely the chasing around cuckoo clock animatronics and Captain Jack Sparrow, the Red the pirate or whatever. That third one, I don't care about. I think it's cool. I think the red pirate woman, I think she looks cool. She adds a fair amount to the ride. The other ones, though, I knew that the pirates chasing the women town folk had been removed and changed a long time ago, but I never realized how stupid the execution of that was gonna be. Like, yeah, I get it. It's obviously implied sexual assault from these drunken, chaos-driven, destructive pirates. But I don't think what was added really provided much to the ride, because it just looks stupid. There are 2 or 3 of these circular animatronics that are moving constantly around pillars against a building, but now they've been reversed to be women chasing the pirates into a kind of another stereotype, almost like a Tom and Jerry cartoon where they have a broom in hand, and they're chasing after the pirates, who are now stealing like barrels and boxes or whatever, and it just adds such a strange dichotomy to this world and this city that we've seen be overtaken by pirates and is now at the whim of them, yet these little gags are going on. Like, it doesn't feel like it works, and it just feels equally as dumb. Maybe if they replaced 1 or 2 of the women with, say, like an actual soldier or a guard. If you're gonna have a soldier or like a prison guard, maybe have one of the pirates running around with his hands over his head and shackles on his wrist to establish the impending prison reveal, because in the prison we do see that the right section of it has crumbled and been partially destroyed in the barrage of the assault by the pirates. Or recast a pirate to be a woman instead of a man. Or have like some kind of weird fight happening, or like the aftermath of a fight. Not to the scope of like the sword fighting at the Disney Paris ride, but maybe a gag where one person, the person chasing, has a sword, and the one running away has the broken hilt of a sword, and you can see against one of the walls, like stuck between the bricks, is a sword blade that has been sliced and rocketed off and is now embedded into the nearby wall, and the guy with that had that happen to his sword is now hoofing it away from the other guy. I think that anything else could have worked very well just to keep in line with the story that we're seeing, because as it stands, it's just kind of like a weird outliers. And another weird outlier is Jack Sparrow. I didn't have any real issues with him, at least the part at the very end of the ride. I was fine with that. I think that that's all that he should be in it, really. There's just something that's too much of goofy humor about Jack moving along the ride with us, and is also like maneuvering to escape detection as he, I guess, hunts for treasure that doesn't really match the original comedy beats of Mark Davis and the other Imagineers that they've established on the ride. That's a big thing that I think is coming from these changes, aside from, I guess, Red the Pirate, is that these changes that are trying to add new comedy bits just don't match what has already been established here. And like I said, the animatronic Jack Sparrow just looks so like a ghoul. I think if they took him out of the scenes during the majority of the ride and left him there at the ending, it would still work very well. It would have the same level of impact, because on our first ride, because we went on it twice, it was beautifully timed. Our boat began to lift and got right there at the edge of the arch thing, whatever the rickety thing is that you ride up, right as he began singing along with the overall music. And right as I passed him, he looked at me with his ghoulish little eyes, and he has, like, you know, his lines about, oh, drink up me heart. Like, he speaks to the rider, essentially. He breaks the fourth wall, and he spoke to us as we're ascending out of the imagination of this pirate story that we went into, and we are now breaking back into reality. It's almost like he's taking the form of the person telling us this story by doing this, noting that this is the end of the story, and that we open our eyes and we're now back around the campfire and we're ready to hear another.